That being said, that is my testimony. I just want to say that I am sorry for the hate and destruction that I've inflicted on innocent people, and I'm sorry for the hate and destruction that others have inflicted on innocent people. At one point, it was okay, but reality has shown that it's not, and that this is happening, and that until people hear about what is going on with this war, it will continue to happen and people will continue to die. I am sorry for the things that I did. I am no longer the monster that I once was. Thank you.
Former Marine John Michael Turner fought with the 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. The videos and photos the soldiers showed can be seen at our website, democracynow.org. This is Democracy Now! We'll be back in a minute. Shiraz by Sharif here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we return now to our coverage of Winter Soldier, Iraq and Afghanistan.
My name is Jason Hurd. I recently completed 10 years of honorable service to my country in both the U.S. Army and the Tennessee National Guard. I served in central Baghdad from November of '04 to November of '05. I'm from a little place nestled in the mountains of East Tennessee called Kingsport, and hence the mountain man beard. People don't really trust you if you're clean-shaven there. Kingsport is truly small-town America. There's a Baptist church on every street corner, and even the high-class restaurants serve biscuits and gravy. My father, Carl C. Hurd, who died in 2000, he was 76 years old. He was a Marine during World War II. Obviously, I was a latecomer in his life. He didn't have me until in his late 50s. As a matter of fact, when he died, shortly after that, I have the 2 World War II battles he participated in tattooed on my arm, and my father had the same tattoo. He was in the Pacific Campaign and participated in the battles of Tarawa and Guadalcanal, which were some of the bloodiest occurrences of that war. I decided to join the military in 1997. I was 17 years old. I had just graduated from high school, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life. My father was adamantly opposed to me serving in the military. My father was one of the most warmongering, gun-loving people you could ever meet. But he didn't feel that way when it came to his son because he knew the negative psychological consequences of combat service. Looking back, I know for a fact that my father had post-traumatic stress disorder. He had the rage, he had the nightmares, and he had the flashbacks.
Jason Hurd went on to describe his time in Iraq. In 2004, he was deployed to central Baghdad with Tennessee's 278th Regimental Combat Team.
One of the observation points that overlooked the Tigris River looked out at the old Republican Guard barracks, which were across the river. And there was one of those buildings that was sort of dilapidated. However, we knew that squatters had taken this building over, and we actually used to make jokes that this place looked like a crack house and that they were running drugs out of there. We had no evidence of that. It was just joking. One day, Iraqi police got into an exchange of gunfire with some unknown individuals around that building. Some of the stray rounds came across the Tigris River and hit the shield of one of our Hummers. The gunner atop that Hummer decided to open fire with his .50 caliber machine gun into that building. He expended about a case and a half of ammunition. And I'm no weapons expert, I'm a medic, but I talked to some of my colleagues just the other night, and to put this into perspective for you all, each case of .50 cal ammunition holds about 150 rounds. A case and a half is well over 200 rounds. Over 200 rounds of .50 caliber ammunition could take out just about every single person in this room. We fired indiscriminately and unnecessarily at this building. We never got a body count, we never got a casualty count afterwards. Another unit came through and swept up that mess. Ladies and gentlemen, things like that happen every day in Iraq. We react out of fear. Fear for our lives, and we cause complete and utter destruction. After we finished the mission manning those observation points, we moved on. My platoon specifically was tasked with running security escort for 2 explosive ordnance teams, 1 U.S. Navy and 1 Australian EOD team. On day 1, the U.S. Navy team took us all aside for some specialized training. They took us aside and said, look, EOD teams are some of the most highly targeted entities in Iraq. The reason being is because, hey, we're the guys that go out and we disarm car bombs. We mess up the tactics and the operations of the insurgency. That's why we're highly targeted. So you guys have to use more aggressive tactics to protect us. And they explained to us that what we were to do is keep a 50-meter perimeter, a 50-meter bubble around our trucks at all times, whether we're driving down the road or whether we're stationary. And if anything comes in that 50-meter bubble, we're to get it out immediately. If it doesn't want to move, we use what are called levels of aggression. Your first option is to try to push it out by using hand signals, hand and arm signals. Your next option is to fire a warning shot into the ground. And from there on, you walk bullets up the car, and your last option is to shoot the person driving the car. This is for our own protection. Car bombs are a real danger in Iraq, and in fact, that's the vast majority of what I saw in Baghdad is car bombings. My unit adhered strictly to these guidelines for a few weeks. But as time went on and the absurdity of war sat in, they started taking things too far. Individuals from my unit indiscriminately and unnecessarily opened fire on innocent civilians as they're driving down the road on their own streets. My unit, individuals from my platoon, would fire into the grills of these cars and then come back in the evenings after missions were done and brag about it. They would say, hey, did you guys see that car I shot at? It spewed radiator fluid all over the ground. Wasn't that cool? I remember thinking back on that and how appalled I was that we were bragging about these things, that we were laughing. But that's what you do in a combat zone. That is your reality. That is how you deal with that predicament. After we finished the EOD escort missions, we moved on to another mission, patrolling the Kindy Street area, which is right outside of the green zone. Kindy Street is a relatively upscale neighborhood. Some of the houses in the Kindy area would cost well over $1 million here in America. This area, from what we were told, had no violent activity at all up until the point we started patrolling this area. We were the first U.S. military to do so on any regular basis. So we went in, we started doing patrols through the streets. We started getting out, meeting and greeting the local population, trying to figure out what sort of issues they had, how we could resolve those issues. I remember we were out on a patrol one day, a dismounted patrol, and we were walking by a woman's house. She was outside in her garden doing some work. We had our interpreter with us, and our interpreter threw up his hand and said, "Salam alaikum," which is their greeting in Iraq.